entertainment, 50 years is like light years of time. And I think the newspaper comic strips were one thing where these things could go on and on for almost for generations. So I was very fortunate to work in a medium like that I could carry through for my whole life. My friend across the street, I would go over to his house. We would sit at his dining room table and we would make comic strips. Sharing the love for something like that, I think that's what it's all about. I was so enthralled with seeing the power of those pictures and words on the comic page that that was it. That's where it was going to go. When I went to Kent, it was an amazing time because change was happening everywhere. Cultural change, political change. The evolution over those 4 years was astonishing, and it was great to be a bystander, and all of those Kent experiences fed into my psyche and what I would eventually do. And when I graduated from Kent that summer, I went up to New York to Marvel and DC Comics and tried to get a job working there. And thankfully, in the long view, they turned me down, which turned out to be a much better situation for me. So I started teaching school, taught junior high arts and crafts. And I thought, well, I'm going to get some experience. So I went to a local paper to see if I could do spot art stuff for them. And the editor was looking through my sketchbook and he said, would you like to do just a single panel cartoon every Tuesday for our teen page? So I walked in there looking for some spot artwork. I came out with my own comic strip, which was cool. And it also helped supply the direction because I didn't have any characters, so I just took the kids that I had in school. I took my friends from Kent, my roommates, people like that. In fact, Funky was my roommate from Kent. I have another friend from Kent that he became Les, Funky's best friend in the strip. And I continued the process of pulling people in. And so, and I was young, so I was able to start the strip at a young age, and that allowed me to write about where I was as I grew up. They grew up, and then out of that, I was able to take that to the syndicates. And the first time I saw my strip in a newspaper, I picked it up. I think I picked up maybe a dozen copies of it. And my thought really at the time was, I didn't know how long this was going to last, but I thought, well, at least for one day, I was on the comic page with Dick Tracy, and so I was just kind of relishing that moment. I wasn't a cartoonist, and my ideas sort of leaned towards just basically telling stories. And in the end, what I hoped I could do is tell stories that would resonate with my readers. And that's the ultimate goal. I think that's what art does. Newspaper, comic strips, they came into the home every day. And there's no other art form where people could connect in quite that way. The thing that sticks with me the most is the creation of Lisa's story. That character opened so many doors for me, starting with a teen pregnancy series, which showed me that you could do work like this. And then with Lisa's breast cancer story, it just opened that door a little wider. So I went to the Kansas State University Press and I took my work up for Lisa's story. And I said, I have this story, it's the second part of Lisa's story, here's the first book, I'm going to complete it. Would you like to put a book out that collects both of these stories together? And they liked that. They thought that was interesting, and they put out a beautiful little book. It was great. But I never thought that one day the Kansas State University Press would be collecting my work. And if you had told me that, I would have probably just fallen over and died right there. When you do a comic strip, you need a lot of information. And my education at Kent helped to underpin that and provide me with resources that I was able to tap. I've retired Funky, which that allows me to finish the books, which is wonderful, and it allows me to wrap things up in a nice way and put a bow on it and treat the characters really well. So I'm very lucky I got to have that experience. With Crankshaft, I get to see how the movie ends in that one. We're just going to keep doing it. So I get to experience both of those things. It was a real gift that my readers kind of let me do all of that. I would take them into one place so they'd come along with me. And then I'd go, okay, here's the story, and they would come over. So it was incremental. I kept hauling my readers with me down the road, and in the end, it was just a real gift that they allowed me to do that kind of work.